In the winter of 1978, 5 young men from Yuba City, California, set out for a night of basketball and camaraderie. They were known as the boys' friends, bound by their love of sports and their shared challenges. But after the game, they vanished into the night, leaving behind a mystery that has haunted investigators, families, and armchair detectives for nearly half a century. This is the story of the Yuba County Five. Meet the Yuba County Five. Gary Mathias, 25, Jack Madruga, 30, Ted Wayher, 32, Bill Sterling, 29, and Jack Hewitt, 24. They were a tight-knit group, often referred to affectionately as the boys by their families. Each man faced mild intellectual disabilities or psychiatric conditions, but they lived independently enough to enjoy life's simple pleasures, especially basketball. They played together on the Gateway Gators, a team organized through a local program for people with disabilities. On February 24, 1978, the group piled into Jack Madruga's prized 1969 Mercury Montego and drove 50 miles north from Yuba City to Chico to watch a college basketball game between UC Davis and Chico State. It was a routine trip, one they'd made before. The boys were excited, not just for the game that night, but for their own Special Olympics tournament the next day, where a win could earn them a trip to Los Angeles. The game ended around 10 p.m. Witnesses, including a newspaper editor, recalled seeing the group at the game, distinctive in their enthusiasm. Afterward, they stopped at Bayer's Market, a convenience store in Chico, to buy snacks, burritos, chocolate milk, candy bars, and soda. The clerk remembered them, slightly annoyed as they came in just before closing. It was the last confirmed sighting of the Yuba County Five alive. The boys were expected to drive straight home, a 50-mile trip south to Yuba City and nearby Marysville, where they lived with their families. But they never arrived. By Saturday morning, February 25, their parents grew frantic. The men had laid out their uniforms for the tournament, and missing it was unthinkable. Something was terribly wrong. The Yuba City Police Department was notified, and a search began along the route between Chico and Yuba City. For 3 days, there was no sign of the men or Madruga's car. Then, on February 28, a breakthrough. A Plumas National Forest ranger reported seeing a turquoise and white Mercury Montego parked on a remote, snow-covered dirt road near Oroville-Quincy Highway, deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The discovery was baffling. The car was 70 miles east of Chico, completely in the wrong direction from home. It was stuck in about 6 inches of snow, but in good working order, with gas in the tank and no signs of damage. Empty snack wrappers, basketball programs, and a folded road map were inside, suggesting the men had been there after the game. One window was rolled down, and the keys were missing. Investigators estimated 5 healthy young men could have easily pushed the car free. So why didn't they? A massive search involving Yuba, Butte, and Plumas County authorities began. But the rugged terrain and deep snow made it nearly impossible. The men were dressed in light clothing, jeans, jackets, and sneakers unsuitable for the freezing conditions. Weeks passed with no clues, and hope began to fade. Then, on June 4, 1978, a group of motorcyclists exploring trails in Plumas National Forest made a grim discovery. At a Forest Service trailer, 19.5 miles from the abandoned car, they noticed a broken window and a foul smell. Inside, they found the body of Ted Wayher. Ted's condition was shocking. He was emaciated, having lost nearly 100 pounds, and his feet were severely frostbitten. A long beard suggested he had survived for 8 to 13 weeks after the disappearance. He was wrapped tightly in 8 bedsheets, indicating someone else had been with him, as he couldn't have tucked himself in so meticulously. Strangely, the trailer was stocked with enough dehydrated food to last a year: matches, a propane heater, and other supplies, none of which had been used except for a couple of cans. Ted's shoes were missing, but his wallet and jewelry remained. Days later, the remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling were found 3 miles away in the Granite Basin area, partially consumed by animals. They had died of exposure. Nearby, Jack Hewitt's skeletal remains were discovered, also ravaged by the elements. The car keys were found with Madruga's body, but Gary Mathias, the fifth man, was nowhere to be found. His tennis shoes were in the trailer, suggesting he had been there, possibly swapping them for Ted's larger shoes due to frostbite. Despite extensive searches, Gary's body has never been located. The Yuba County 5 case is often called the American Dyatlov Pass for its eerie parallels to the unsolved 1959 Russian hiking tragedy. Nearly 50 years later, no single theory fully explains what happened. Let's explore the most plausible explanations. Natural causes, foul play, and animal attacks. One theory suggests the men succumbed to a tragic series of natural events. Investigators propose they took a wrong turn after leaving Chico, possibly intending to visit Gary Mathias's friends in Forbestown, a town accessible via back roads. Jack Madruga, protective of his car, was unlikely to take a rugged mountain road intentionally, but a navigational error could have led them up Oroville-Quincy Highway. Once stuck, they may have panicked. The group's intellectual disabilities or Gary's schizophrenia, potentially exacerbated by weeks without medication, could have impaired their decision-making. Instead of staying with the car, a known survival tactic, they ventured into the forest, which eventually proved to be a fatal mistake. But perhaps they ventured into the forest, believing that following snowcat tracks left by a Forest Service worker the previous day may lead them towards shelter. This theory accounts for the car's location and the men's exposure-related deaths. Ted Wyer's survival in the trailer for weeks suggests they reached it, but were too disoriented or principled to use the supplies, possibly fearing it was stealing. However, it doesn't explain why they left the car in the first place, why they traveled 19.5 miles on foot in freezing conditions, or why Gary Mathias vanished without a trace. Another theory points to foul play. The families, especially Jack Madruga's mother, Melba, were adamant that some force led the men astray. She told the Los Angeles Times he would never drive his car up that road. He was either tricked or threatened. Could someone have coerced or chased them into the mountains? One witness, Joe Shones, adds intrigue. On the night of February 24, Shones was stranded on the same road, suffering a heart attack while trying to free his stuck car. Around midnight, he claimed to see headlights and a group of people, including a woman and a baby, ignoring his cries for help. Later, he saw flashlights and heard whistling, but the lights vanished when he called out. Shones passed the Mercury Montego as he walked for help, but didn't connect it to the missing men until later. Was he delirious, or did he witness something sinister? Some speculate the men saw something at the game. Perhaps Gary, known for his sense of justice, intervened in a dispute, angering someone who followed them. Another theory involves a local bully, rumored to have a grudge against Gary, allegedly beating him and forcing the others into the forest. A 2020 Yuba County Sheriff's letter, made public in 2023, stated Gary is believed to be a victim of foul play, keeping the case open as a homicide investigation. Foul play could explain the car's odd location, the men's decision to flee, and Gary's disappearance. Ted's survival in the trailer, with unused supplies, might suggest fear of pursuit kept them from settling in. But there's no concrete evidence, no signs of struggle in the car, no witnesses to a chase, and no motive strong enough to explain such an elaborate crime. A less common theory is an animal attack. The Plumas National Forest is home to bears, mountain lions, and other wildlife. Could the men have encountered a predator, prompting them to flee the car in terror? The remains of Madruga, Sterling, and Hewitt were partially consumed by animals, but this likely occurred post-mortem, as scavenging is common in the wild. Ted Wyer's body showed no signs of animal trauma, and the trailer's broken window suggests human entry, not an animal break-in. An attack might explain their initial flight, but not the 19.5-mile trek to the trailer, or Ted's prolonged survival. No tracks or other evidence of a predator were reported, making this theory less likely. The most enduring question is what happened to Gary Mathias. His absence fuels speculation. Some believe he succumbed to the elements elsewhere in the forest, his body never found due to the vast terrain. Others suspect he survived longer, given his army background and history of walking long distances. He once trekked 500 miles after leaving a facility. A few claim unconfirmed sightings, like Jack Madruga's niece, who thought she saw him in a bar a year later. Could Gary's schizophrenia have played a role? Without medication, he might have experienced paranoia or hallucinations, leading him to guide the group astray or abandon them. Yet, as author Tony Wright argues, Gary functioned well enough to attend the game and shop without incident. Blaming him feels too convenient, especially without evidence of past erratic behavior. The Yuba County 5 case remains one of America's most perplexing mysteries. Natural causes offer a tragic but incomplete explanation, failing to account for their journey's purpose. Foul play hints at a darker story, yet lacks proof. An animal attack seems improbable given the evidence. Each theory leaves gaps, and Gary Mathias's fate deepens the enigma. For the families, the pain endures. They lost sons, brothers, and friends, and with them, the chance for answers. The Yuba County 5 remind us how quickly the ordinary can turn into a mystery. What do you think happened that night?